was 10 years old, I already knew that I would choose the Vatherscollege. I knew it when my sister performed at Vathorst. I still remember that I noticed that the school was so bright and so colorful that I just couldn't believe that it really was a school. There were no separated classrooms, and it was all open and connected to each other. Immediately, it felt like home. And I realized that this school is the perfect school for me. But then, I wasn't accepted. I was number 336, while only 200 students were admitted. I was so upset. I remember it as if it was yesterday, because I was convinced that this school was the perfect place for me. For this reason, I had done everything to be admitted. I emailed, and not once, but like 1,000 times, even with the duties officer. And my father called every week to check if perhaps there existed a little place for me. And eventually, finally, I was accepted.
I had more luck. I was number 42, which meant that I had a spot for sure at Vathorst, which was a great relief because I really wanted to go to the school. Why I was so sure about my choice? In 7th grade, I unintentionally went to an open day with a friend, and I felt so at home. I knew this was the school for me. So even when I went to look at other schools, there was no doubt about where I wanted to go. Vathorst felt right, so that was where I was gonna go. Being able to feel at home at school is something that Esmee and I find very important. Not just because you spend most of your time at school, but because this is a place where you learn, change, and grow. You go through your ups and your downs, and that makes you vulnerable. But if you feel at home, then it's okay. And if you're vulnerable, you can really look at yourself and what kind of person you are. And you will see what you're good at and what you're not so good at. For example, I found English very hard, and I wanted to change that. So I asked my parents and teachers for help. At our school, it's very normal to just step up to a teacher and ask for help. They even want and expect you to. So because I made myself vulnerable and asked for help, I received extra exercises and tips. And because of that help, I now got a 9.6 for my previous exam, which I'm really proud of. I got to know myself better, but it took a little time before I was open to that. I experienced something that made me close my doors. But now that they're open, I learn new things about myself all the time. And sometimes that's good. Other times, not so much. But because of the safety at our school, it's okay to have the good and the not so good.
Five times a week, I'm on the volleyball court. I play volleyball and beach volleyball at a high level. My dream is to participate in the Olympic Games in 2028. My school helps, supports, and contributes me to achieve my dreams. I get every opportunity to go to trainings, tournaments, and matches. But that's not the only reason. My school helps me to learn more skills, which are very important for my top sport. At Vathorst, we work with I-Self. This contains 4 skills. 3 of them are work together, reflect, and take control of yourself. And I use all these skills in volleyball. To work together, for example. With volleyball, you are a team. You win and you lose together. At my school, collaboration is stimulated by working on projects in groups. This takes place in so-called learning houses. These are very big spaces where 4 classes of different learning years are in the same classroom. And yes, and here you work together or by yourself. That's your choice. And yes, sometimes you have to work with someone you don't like so much. But then you have to adjust and help each other. And together, it always works. Students often receive feedback from other students or teachers, which they can use to learn from their mistakes. Sometimes you have to write an evaluation to reflect on your process of the period. What did you learn? What was difficult? And what are your goals for the next assignment? With volleyball, you have to improve every time, again and again, to become better, but especially to accomplish your dreams. To take control of yourself means ownership of your own learning process. You decide what you do and when and whether you do it. Be able to plan well is fundamental for this, and certainly for me, because combining volleyball with my study is a big challenge sometimes and requires not only perseverance and discipline, but also responsibility. And yes, it's hard at some moments and it can go wrong. But at my school, there's plenty opportunity to learn, fall, and stand up again. I have to do the work. Nobody else does it for me. I am responsible for my future. I want to learn, I want to grow, and I want to create a good career. It's my responsibility, not yours. I often say, never give up. Make the best of the worst. That's what we learn at Vathorst. We receive education that challenges and encourages us. We are so much more than numbers and figures. We may try out, discover, laugh, celebrate, make mistakes, and yes, sometimes cry. But it all makes me more Esmee.
When I walk into the learning house for my first class, I say hi to a few people, go sit next to a friend, and get to work. Everyone sits where they want, and they don't care about what you do or where. There are no odd looks or gossip. Maybe it's odd that I find this peculiar, but I know from my own experience that this can be different. In 6th grade of primary school, I was bullied, and I can't remember a day in which I truly felt like myself. I wasn't verbally or physically abused, but I was excluded, which may have been worse, because my friends, my best friends for over 3 years, didn't want to meet up after school anymore, even though they had time. And that hurt, because it always made me doubt whether or not something was cool enough to be liked. So when I just started at Vathorst, I found it really important that I had popular friends, not if they would become good friends or if I could be myself with them. So in the first 2 introduction weeks at Vathorst, in which you get to know your class, I became friends with the popular kids, until I realized I didn't like them. The conversations that we had didn't interest me, and my comments were met with that uncomfortable silence in which no one knows what to say. So I found different friends. Friends I could be myself with my dorky quirks and all. At Vathorst, I can be myself and feel safe. And this is what I find very important. And I know that others feel the same. We create this safe atmosphere together, not just the students, but also the teachers. At Vathorst, everyone is equal. You can call your teachers by their first name, and you can always go to them, either for advice or if you have advice for them. And I know that there are some people who don't find this equality fitting for a school, that it shows a lack of respect. But would I show Jasmijn more respect if I called her Headmaster Kester? No, I don't think so. It is because I can call her Jasmijn that I feel that I'm important to her and that I can give her my opinion about anything. At Vathorst, we don't believe that you show respect with the way you call someone, but with the way you treat someone. Contact from person to person with an eye for differences.
For example, when I had an idea to improve the school, it was possible to go to Esmee, our headmaster, so easily. She was completely open to my ideas and visions, and we even elaborated on them. Then you really feel important. You feel of great significance or value, and that you are not just one of thousands, a number. And here I stand today, representing my school. Obviously a little nervous, but especially with confidence. I'm also graduating in drama class, and this is unique in the Netherlands. Why? I wonder. Because it's so important that you learn not only with your head, but also with your heart and your hands. At Vathorst, I made a journey from a young girl to a mature woman. Right now, I am attending the last year of secondary education, and I feel like I'm ready and prepared for the next step in my life. And of course, it's great that I will possess my diploma. But admit it, it's even better that I feel like I'm ready for life. Next year, I am going to America with a scholarship, where I will combine volleyball and my study. And I'm already so excited, just bring it on.
Being able to be yourself is something you don't always realize the importance of. But if someone would tell me I could never read a book again,
And if someone would tell me that I may never play volleyball again, then we
will not.
accept it. We have learned who we are, what we can, and who we want to be. And we're proud of that.
And if there's one thing we want you to remember, it is this. It doesn't matter where you are, at school, at work, or at home. The place where you learn, perform, and grow is the place where you should feel safe and where you can be yourself.